Hey guys, Bobby again. Today, take a little bit of a um, awareness video for all shop priests out there who have been looking at 10.1 changes and like, oh no, or oh yes, or had any kind of opinion at all. I made a forum post based on what I feel are some good changes that they could bring to Shadow Priest for 10.1, but obviously for PvP. Things I don't like about the changes in 10.1, but the community helped me make this forum post based on some of their ideas, my ideas, and if you guys are wanting to try to get some changes made. We got to get traction on the forum post. We got to make sure that it's shared. We got to make sure that it's liked and commented on. That way, if we do want changes, hopefully the devs will see it. I'm gonna go ahead and go over what I wrote, what all the things that I said, and then if you guys agree with what I said or disagree with what I said, let me know in the comments below. If I hit the nail in the coffin or if I'm completely misguided. I just want to know what you guys think. Maybe I'll make another forum post or edit it. But let's go ahead and get into what I had written on the forum. All right. So starting PvP Shadow Priest feedback 10.1. I will link this forum in the description. I said, hello devs, I want to express some concerns as a current Glad multi-Glad Shadow Priest about some of the recent changes that have been made, which remove some crucial abilities from S Priest Toolkit and make them valuable in Arena. Again, this is PvP. Okay? Go ahead and start with number 1. Right? The loss of Void Origins to be able to make our burst forms instant, in my opinion, and a lot of other S priests that I have talked to, seems detrimental. I've talked to plenty of other high-rated Shadow Priests, and they seem to agree that it is a big part of our current toolkit with the current pace of the meta, and it seems to be a pretty big thing that we don't have that. I give an example of why it should just be baseline, right? So, for example, Wings is instant for Paladins, right? They don't cast it, dispellable now. It just pops. There's their 25% damage, whatever it is, plus their critical strike chance and all that, right? Combustion and Icy Veins for mages are instant. Same thing. They're now undispellable, and that's their instant damage. Send it. Okay? Ascendance is instant for shamans if they run it. LA shamans run the proc version of it, so they just get procs of it, which procs damage as well. Bestial Wrath, Coordinated Assault, and True Shot Aura for Hunters. So the Hunters, again, same thing, pop their ability on cooldown. They get all the increased damage. That's their burst, right? That is their burst tool. They make all their damage do more on top, shotguns and all that other stuff, but that's what causes their damage. Tip the scale, Dragon Rage for Evokers, how they do the one shot with their Eternity Surges, so on and so forth. Their instant procs, but that, they pop it, they don't cast it. Zerk/Incarn for Druids, and then etc. There's others, but I don't want to name everything, but those were my examples. All burst abilities essentially are currently instant that needs to be done when it comes to damage. That people that actually have damaging forms is trying to get at here. So that's why I wrote this. I wanted to make sure I excuse my dogs if you hear them playing with toys. Hey, doggies. Hey, stop it. Stop it. You're listening to me. I have my puppy back there. As I was saying, so all classes burst are instant, while Shadow Priest is passive. Not to mention, we only have one school of magic to work from when it comes to our damage and main defenses, i.e., life swap and dispersion. In my opinion, and others feel that Void Origin should become baseline for Dark Ascension and Void Eruption. Now, do you guys agree? I 100% agree that it should be baseline. So many people have gotten PvP talents taken out from them and been baseline toolkit, right? So I think it should be baseline. Tell me what you guys think. All right. Second big one for me here. All right. Removal of our dots, right? All right. So into the removal of a lot of our procs and instant cast dot abilities, especially ones that correspond with one another, such as Damnation, Procking, Unfurling Darkness. This was our starting rotation. We'd run in, we Damnation, we Unfurling Darkness, and get our dots out, get our pressure rolling, and get our Insanity. No longer can do that. Makes it a lot harder for not only high-rated Shadow Priests, but the majority of newer players or players learning how to keep dots up, especially while trained. I can't tell you how many of you guys in my YouTube comments or in Twitch in the current iteration of Shadow Priest who feel like they can't even get their pressure out. That's with all instant casts currently. We have Shadow Crash, we have Damnation, we have Unfurling Darkness, we have all these toolkits right now to keep our dots up. And currently, people feel like it's hard, and I agree. Even in this current meta, if you get kicked, you are going to die. So people are saying everyone has precog, which I'm sure I'm gonna get comments. Everyone will get precog. Everyone has precog. We currently don't use precog as Shadow Priest. The reason is our go needs to go. Well, if we're juking kicks and no one's kicking, that's 5 seconds, 6 seconds, or if we get kicked while juking, there goes our go. Right there, it's gone. People don't seem to understand that when they try to say just use precog and juke kicks. That's downtime. Shadow Priest isn't like other casters. We have to get our dots up to do our mastery, to even do our damage, to get insanity to do our damage. People don't kick, then we have to wait till they kick and then send a go. We are a very RMP type playstyle where it's 3, 2, 1, stun, silence, fear, do our go. With everything being casted, we have to 3, 2, 1. Well, guess what? We can't do 3, 2, 1. We have to get our insanity, go into void form, throw up the mind bender, then 3, 2, 1. It's so obvious at that point that we're setting a go. So we have to be very particular in how we do this. It's like right before we send the go, we might have to cast void form in our burst, and that is a casted downtime, which means our rotations are down. CC is now down across the board when it comes to hard stuns. Obviously, our fear and silence are better, but our hard stuns aren't, so people will react better. So that's why I just want to throw that out there before the comments are saying run precog. All right. Talked to a lot of other chat. Like I just mentioned, through my stream and YouTube, who constantly feel pressured to get dots up and feel like they can't. Feel like we can either bring back Damnation as a choice node with Void Torrent, like they currently have, where you can choose one or the other. Because Void Torrent, as you guys have seen on the PTR, is a chunky ability, which I will use a lot of the time, but I would like to have Damnation, only because as somebody who has a little bit more experience on a Shadow Priest, there are going to be games where I think Void Torrent chunking is going to be nice, especially in Shadow Play, and I plan to play Shadow Play on my alt. So things like that, or I'd like to have a choice node. This could also, if they don't bring back Damnation, the next point I'm about to make, I feel could be insanely good and will actually help all this. They just make one change. All right, here we go. Or make Shadow Crash proc Unfurling Darkness when spec'd into. So you know, they split for some reason, split Shadow Crash to now you have to spec into it to apply VT instead of how it is now, where it already does that. Well, if you can spec into improve Shadow Crash, that improved Shadow Crash should also allow the proc of Unfurling Darkness, right? Or just make it that if you use Shadow Crash, it has the ability to Unfurling Darkness or whatever. I don't care, but that could be a huge way to keep our dots up, without having Damnation applying Devouring Plague. Still a nerf, but at least we have that proc of Unfurling Darkness, so we have it up, we get our dots out easier, and everything in this current 10.1 meta is all about getting our cast off, or dots out, because all of our pressure is through Devouring Plague and dots. Can't get our dots out as often, it's going to be rough, in my opinion. So currently we can do it with Damnation, Unfurling Darkness, and Shadow Crash. This next one, I don't think they'll do. I really, really, really hope gets traction, because of all these changes, this is probably the one I want the most. Not gonna lie, guys. One of the ones I want the absolute most outside of Void Origins. It might be tied for Void Origins, being baseline. I want this back. Right? Seems every class with a dot has some sort of damage applied to their dispel protection besides Shadow Priest. What I mean by that is casters that have dot protection. Right? I'm going into it right now. Flame Shock has a damage and a knock up. Boomies have a damage and a knock back, which they're getting a damage and a knockback. UA Lock has big damage, insane damage, and a silence. Their silence is longer than our horror, or as long or longer. I'm pretty sure it's longer. I think it's like 4 seconds, right? Might be wrong about that. Either way, it's just about as long as our horror, but they have this giant damage attached to it. And it's not a cooldown, it's a spammable ability. UA is spammable. S-Priest just has a horror effect that can break. So every other person has gotten, and it's new, right? Flame Shock just came like what? In the last season? Boomies are getting it now. UA Lux had it forever. Shadow Priest used to have a spell protection. Used to have a damage applied to our dot, and we used to get mana from our Vampiric Touch. And my thought process is having some sort of additional dispel protection for vampiric touch specifically, because it does the same thing as devouring plague. Does damage, heals you for 30%, which was already nerfed, right? It was 50%, and they nerfed it to 30% for both devouring plague and VT. If you actually look at one of my previous videos, I mentioned that it actually only heals for 1,000 right now. Heals for 1,000, and with an MS on you, especially on 400,000 HP pool. So you think you get healed for 2,000 for both of them? Let's just say you get healed for 2,000 for both of them. That's less than 1%. That's less than 0.5%. That's about 0.5% you're getting healed from your dots. Essentially negligible. You can't even see, right? So the healing means nothing. They nerfed the Vampiric Embrace. Now that's lower. They nerfed our shield, so that's lower. They nerfed our mana regeneration, so that's to be able to get flash heals off is almost impossible. They heal for nothing. And they nerfed our survivability with our focus will. So a lot of our survivability and it usually comes from just being able to get Divine Plagues out to get on hits, to get big healing from our VE. But with spell protection, we're not gonna be able to keep our dots up in general, and our pressure is gonna be low. And I don't know. I feel like this with the next meta, we need something, right? I would like some ideas I have thought about, which I should have put in here. Is that with VT being dispelled, it could do, instead of doing damage, it could heal you, right? It's called Vampiric Touch, right? But there's nothing special about Vampiric Touch when it comes to the lore of it. There's nothing vampiric about it. It's the same as Devouring Plague, right? That the healing is the same as Devouring Plague, so that fantasy of the Vampiric and Devouring Plague, it's essentially the same spell. So I was thinking if you dispel it, maybe it does a little bit of damage, and then that damage heals the Shadow Priest or its teammates, or you dispel it, it just does big damage, and not as strong as a UA, but it does some decent damage, or something like I don't know, it gives mana to healer or something that just makes it so if you dispel VT, it's you have to think about when it comes to class fantasy, because Shadow Priest had that. It was the other class that had a dispel protection. You're like, maybe not dispel it right now, and then it took it away from us. And we also have the lowest mobility in the game, no slow, right? One school of magic, less way to put our dots up, and less procs. Less procs, have to hard cast more, no mobility in the game, considering we can just get slowed right when we use our sprint, and we have less ways to get our dots up. So like getting kicked, you can't do anything. Getting slowed, you can't do anything, and we don't have a slow ourselves. We're also one of the only classes in the game that don't have a slow out. We have a crit slow, which 5% crit. That's not gonna do anything. It's only tied to Mind Blast. No one specs into. So I don't know. I'm hoping that this gets read, guys, on the forums. Please leave comments how you guys feel about what I wrote. I feel like I hit a lot of key issues that have been missing from the Shadow Priest toolkit for a while. I would like to see at least one of these changes moving into 10.1 before it comes out, just because I feel like we need it. Like, I've never made a PvP forum post before where I thought we actually needed something, but I feel like we're gonna need it coming into this next meta. Make it so Shadow Priest feels like a good, rounded. You guys like what I said? Like I said, go leave a comment, share it, like it, and obviously, if you guys like my content, leave a like, maybe subscribe. Channel, leave a comment here for the algorithm so this gets brought out to more people on YouTube. A lot of you guys watch but don't comment, so that'd go a long way. Come watch me live at twitch.tv/Gaming. I am streaming a lot more in the mornings now, roughly around noon EST to around 3 EST, and times at night when I'm doing some main team threes. Yeah, come check me out. See if you guys like the content live. Consider being a Patreon. Patrons get free coaching for yourselves and your team. So if you guys have a 3v3 team, you guys just trying to learn, I do classes, all specs, and you get free. If you subscribe, your teams get free. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys liked the video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and let me know what you think.